Behind me, you can see the Western Wall, but this is also the Western Wall, as is this one, and this part too. All of these sections are part of the whole Western Wall. I named this video the 5 Western Walls and not the 5 places you can see the Western Wall because A, it is a better title and I need you to click on my videos, and B, more importantly, each part of the wall that I'm going to show you focuses on a different aspect of the wall and tells a story that you've probably never heard before. What do I mean? Follow me and see. So I've walked out of the Western Wall compound, and here we can see another part of the wall. It continues underground, but to get to it, we need to get out of the old city, enter the city of David, and walk underground to this part. So now we are in the city of David. This is the ancient part of Jerusalem, the part the Bible was written about. And there is one small part of the Western Wall that we can only see if we enter from this side. Today, most visitors to the Western Wall arrive at Jaffa Gate and walk down towards the Western Wall. The visitors approach the wall from the west and descend towards it. But the right way to approach the temple is to ascend from the south. This is how it was for hundreds of years. Today, the old city's wall blocks the original way from ancient Jerusalem to the temple, but we can take this path underground. We can walk through the drainage system that 2,000 years ago lay under the main street that led millions of Jews to the temple. As we get closer to the Western Wall, we can see the huge stones the Romans threw from the temple onto the street below. These stones broke the street and got stuck in the drainage system. And what can we see here? A part of the Western Wall. This part is the foundation layer, which was underground 2,000 years ago, as it is today. You can see that the builders didn't take the time to curve the stones perfectly because they knew they would be underground and that no one would see them. So, to sum it up, if you want to see the smallest part of the Western Wall, you need to come from the right direction, the direction from which pilgrims approached the temple 2,000 years ago. Now we will head out into the light and see the most impressive side of the wall. So here it is. At this point, you can see a few things. The first is how high the Temple Mount was and is. Where we are standing now was at street level 2,000 years ago. The Western Wall Plaza you know today is up there, but only when standing here can we appreciate what King Herod built. This is how they saw it 2,000 years ago. We can also see the corner of the Western Wall and the Southern Wall. Many people don't know that the Western Wall is not part of the temple itself. It is a retaining wall built around the peak of Mount Moriah. Looking at both walls, it is worth mentioning that when the temple was in use, the Southern Wall was way more important than the Western Wall, as most of the pilgrims entered the Temple Mount through the gates on the Southern Wall. If 2,000 years ago you had said to the Jews, the temple is going to be destroyed and Jews won't be permitted to go up to the Temple Mount, so which wall will become a symbol? I think that they would have said the Southern Wall. If you want to understand ancient Jerusalem and this place here, which today is called the Davidson Center, then get my Jerusalem crash course. It is great. I've packed all my Jerusalem tours into one course. From here, I will return to the Western Wall Plaza to enter the third and largest visible part of the Western Wall, the Western Wall tunnels. So today we can only see about 1/7 of the whole wall. The whole wall is 480 meters long, and we can only see about 70 meters of it. The main reason for this is that after the temple was destroyed, new houses were built that incorporated the Western Wall into the building structure. In the Muslim quarter, many houses were built on the Western Wall. In the Western Wall tunnels, you go underground for almost the whole length of the Western Wall. This is a site you pay to get into and walk through with a guide. On the tour, you see the biggest stone of the wall, and with models and explanations, you really come to understand what the temple and Jerusalem looked like 2000 years ago. The last part of the Western Wall that I want to show you is called the Small Western Wall. It is deep inside the Muslim Quarter. When we did the tunnel tour, we walked underneath this part. There are a few things that I like about this place. First, it is very quiet. Not too many people know about it. And there is also shade. In the Western Wall Plaza, it is terrible. You come with a group in summer and it is so hot and there is no shade. So here we have shade, and in a way this part is holier because we are closer to where the temple stood. But the thing I like the most is that this part is free and it doesn't belong to anyone. To see the first part I showed you, you need to enter the City of David, which you have to pay to get into. The corner of the Western Wall and the Southern Wall is in the Davidson Center, which you also have to pay to get into. The same goes for the tunnel tour. The Western Wall Plaza is free, but it is run by the Western Wall Heritage Center. The Western Wall itself is an open-air Orthodox synagogue, so there is a separation of men and women. If you want to visit the Western Wall together as a family and not pay for it, then this is the only place you can do it. There is a tradition of writing your wishes on a piece of paper and sticking it between the stones of the Western Wall. There are many traditions in Jerusalem, Jewish traditions, Catholic tradition, and the Crusaders were the masters of mixing up the traditions. I noticed something that no one else did. There hasn't been a single tradition started by an influencer. As a YouTuber with almost 400,000 subscribers, I think that I'm entitled to start a new tradition in Jerusalem. So I did. Instead of writing what you wish for, why not write what you are grateful for? About 2 years ago, I went out on a run with the guys in the kibbutz. I suddenly felt a pain in my knee. Nothing dramatic. I didn't fall over. I didn't have an accident. I didn't have cancer. It was just a minor pain that prevented me from guiding for a few months. On my first tour back, I was guiding a family who had come from the States for a wedding in Israel. And it occurred to me that a lot of good things had needed to happen in order for me to be there with them. So along with them, I started this tradition. Now let's go back to the Western Wall. We are back where we started. Everything I've said in this video is true, but none of it is that important. There are different parts of this wall, and each part sheds light on a different aspect of the Western Wall. But at the end of the day, the Western Wall is a symbol, and the definition of a symbol is that it is greater than the sum of its parts. I think that if you were to visit Jerusalem and tell Israelis that you watched a video on YouTube and this video said that there is a part of the Western Wall that you can only see if you first go out of the old city, and that there is a part of the Western Wall in the Muslim Quarter, most Israelis would say, no, this is the Western Wall, and don't believe everything you see on the internet. And I'm not saying this to point out the Israelis' lack of knowledge. For Jews, This is not a huge retaining wall that supported the Temple Mount where the temple stood. For Jews, this is a symbol of the 3,000-year-old connection they've had with Jerusalem. And that is the most important thing. Everything I've just told you about and shown you in this video is just a bonus. As a tour guide, I've been here more than a few times. And when I guide here, I stand with my back to the Western Wall, as I'm doing now, so that my tourists can see the Western Wall in front of them. And I have the Jewish Quarter in front of me. And I like that very much, and here is why. In 2006, I went on a World War II tour from Normandy to Stalingrad. And in Poland, I met a group of rabbis from Eshet Torah, an educational organization led by the rabbi Noach Weinberg. One evening, I was invited along. I think it was for dinner, and then they had a talk about Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam is a Jewish idea that seeks to make the world a better place through acts of fixing small things, not reinventing the wheel, not destroying and building everything from scratch, but each person doing what they can do to make this world better. And I think there were 40 or 50 rabbis, and each person there talked about what they were doing. They were not talking pie in the sky stuff like, I want world peace or I want to eradicate hunger. Each of them talked about initiatives they were involved in, like helping the disabled, Holocaust survivors, poor people, and I was in shock. Never in my life had I seen a group of men sitting and talking not about sports or girls or politics or work or current event or complaining, but talking about the personal action they were taking to make this world a better place. Noach Weinberg led this talk and encouraged them to do more for others in such a nice way. It made me think. I think that we all want to think of ourselves as good people. But if we are being brutally honest, are we? Can I prove it? Am I doing enough? Are we living in a society that encourages us to be better by helping others? And when I'm standing here talking about the Western Wall, what do I have in front of me? The main building of Eshet Torah. So I have the biggest Jewish symbol behind me and a reminder to do Tikkun Olam, to be a better person, right there in front of me. In a few of the videos I've made over the last 2 months, I've talked about Meir Panim. This charity helps Holocaust survivors and people living in poverty, and since the beginning of the war, it has helped soldiers and thousands of Israeli families who have had to be evacuated from their homes. They help with hot meals, food parcels, and events for the soldiers and their families. In memory of Rabbi Noach Weinberg, I'm going to donate all the money I make from this video to Meir Panim. I will leave a link to them below, so if you want to donate, you can do the right thing with a few clicks. I will just add that I'm filming this video in December, and Hanukkah is right around the corner. And if you have a business, any donation you make is tax deductible. But even if you are watching this video in January and you are an employee, if you are able to donate, then do the right thing. That is it for today. See you next week. Yalla bye.